Hi. Welcome to the Human Design for Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Yvette Mayer, and this show's for you if you're done with cookie cutter marketing and ready to build your personal brand in alignment with who you really are. Let's dive in. Hi, this is Yvette, and you're listening to the Human Design for Marketing podcast. I'm super excited that you're here listening or maybe watching. I am coming to you from beautiful Bali, island of the gods. And if you do happen to be watching this, you'll see I'm quite fantastic as I sit here in my Bali villa, although I have my usual background showing. And today I am coming in to talk to you about the Splenic Centre and with a little bit of a personal story and a reflection and even a celebration that is very splenic in nature. Now, the reason the spleen is on my mind, let's start there, is that we have just been transiting through the Human Design Solar Transit in a series of splenic gates. Now, the spleen is our center for all things well-being, as well as intuition and instinct. There's a lot of survival essence to the spleen. And I love working with those of you who have splenic definition because you tend to naturally be drawn into these types of fields that are to do with our survival and well-being, or intuition, things like clairvoyancy, any of the clairs, or intuitive life coaching, that sort of field. And this creates such not heart-centered, that's the wrong word, but strongly intuitive humans is what I find in all of the many readings that I've done. Gate 57 in particular, I just love how this gate always corresponds to the person that has definition here being so highly intuitive. So about now, you're probably thinking, is my spleen defined? Or if it is, what gates do I have that sit in the spleen? And if you have your chart in front of you, I think it would be great to go and check it out because we have been in this energy, but what I'm going to share with you is a little bit of the low and the high frequency of the spleen, because I want to talk about the low actually. So basically the high frequency is what I've already shared. So it is that intuition, instinct in a really positive way, in a kind of like knowing something that is going to happen before it happens. It is a desire for health and well-being and prioritizing these things. These are all true. And some of the gates that I'm referring to, and actually I have a list in front of me so I don't miss any. So we have the gate 48, which is called the well, and it's about having a lot of depth. It is going to the bottom of the well and having all the information. So when you do that, you are also alleviating any fear because you feel prepared. Gate 57 that I mentioned, I always think about this gate as intuitive clarity, like having those natural downloads and instincts. And that's the one that I kind of shared a little bit on before. But the low frequency is not trusting them, is being fearful of your own power. The 44, which we're actually transiting into next, so maybe as you listen to this, we're going to be in the 44. This one, it comes with some karmic baggage. So the low frequency is being caught in the wrong loops because you're potentially going around in circles in stories that aren't yours. And so there's this fear about maybe not knowing yourself, fear of life itself, whereas the high frequency of the 44 is more around, well, this one connects into the heart, so it connects the spleen and the heart, and it is wanting people to reach their potential and not just yourself, although that's part of it, but using this intuition towards letting go of the past and stretching into more potential. We have the 50, which is the gate of values. This one is also about the value of health. And that can be healthy business, healthy self, it can be healthy finances, but it's all around kind of health and valuing that. Then we have the 32, which is playing the long game. It's really about continuity and seeing that bigger picture. In the low frequency, the fear of, is it really worth it? Like, is it actually worth staying the course? Shall I quit? We have the 28, which is where we are right now as I record this. Now, I called this gate it's called the game player. The gate is the game player, or it can be referred to as the gate of struggle. But I call this one risk for reward. So taking the right risks, and I'm going to go further into this energy. And then the 18, which is the gate of judgment. But there is a more positive spin on this one as well, because it is about that, well, the fear. The fear can be things have to be perfect or I fail. And the higher expression is that like desire to get things just right. So these are all these beautiful high frequencies mainly that I've explored, but I've touched on the fact that every single splenic gate in its shadow comes from a place of fear. It's not surprising, right, when you're thinking about survival in the high frequency, that that low frequency is not surviving, and that brings all sorts of fear. So if you have been experiencing fear, anxiety, feeling resistance in you over the last month, this is part of why, that we have been transiting through all the splenic gates, one after the other, and that is going to bring up some, in the low frequency, some fear. I've certainly had a mixed bag this last month. I've had some really big polarity going on in my own personal life. You know that I lost my dog, and that is proving to be one of the hardest things that I've ever been through. And I know for some you're like, yeah, it's just a dog, but she was my best friend. She was my everything. She's been with me for 14 years, by my side, at my feet, part of my business. Something that she was just so important to me. I'm a single woman. I don't have children. She was my family. I mean, I have family, but she was my living side by side and obsessively in love with me, which felt really, really freaking amazing. So to have that just go, it's been heartbreaking. And there is all this stuff about mortality wrapped up in that as well. And, you know, do you want to have another dog in your life or an animal when you know that that's part of the deal, right? That they're gonna go before you. So I've definitely been through that. On the other hand, I've been really looking after my health and my well-being. I'm in the best shape that I've been in for years, quite frankly. And I am also looking after myself from my heart and invested in going on a business retreat. I'm currently in beautiful Bali, as I said, and that is the wellness side, the wellness of me and the well-being of my business, and investing myself into that as well. So have a think about this energy and how it's shown up for you. And now I'm going to kind of pivot or go a bit deeper on one particular gate, because it's the gate that we're in as I'm recording this, and it has brought me a lot of reflections. Part of this is telling the story of the business through the lens of gate 58, and I'm talking about my business. So did I just say the wrong gate then? Gate 28. I think I said 58. So this gate is risk for reward, the way I express it, at least. And as I've been in this energy and reflecting on this energy, and then thinking about October as we get to the end of October, I can share with you that this has been the second biggest cash month in my business all year, one of the biggest months in my business ever financially. And it's also been a month where I've worked very little. I have, obviously, I'm in Bali right now, and I've been working very lightly this week. Last week, I was in retreat the whole week. I've taken time off due to grief. And therefore, I've literally been in the business behind the desk for maybe 10 working days. And at the same time, I've had this huge month financially. So a really great demonstration of the risks and the going through the struggle or the hard times in business and then paying off over the longer term. Now, in particular, I want to share with you that today, as I record this, I just published the 64th episode of the 64 Cosmic Content Code series on YouTube. Now, this is huge, my friends. This has been such a labor. I would call it a labor of love, and it is, but it's also just felt like a labor at times. When I decided to do this work, it was very exciting. When we turned it into a YouTube channel, it felt like, oh my God, yes, this is incredible, getting this content out into the world. It's all me. I didn't use AI at all to create this series. And I didn't really anticipate the pressure that it would put on myself and the team, because we've been running it in alignment with the Sun transit, and that means we've had a new episode due every 6 days for the last 365 days. So yes, 64 gates in 365 days, through Christmas, through holidays, through grief. It's been a huge deliverable. And every episode has involved so many different steps. And as time went on, more people, because I literally couldn't deal with the amount of extra pressure on me in terms of the filming, the editing, the graphics, the this, like it's been huge. But today, the final episode went live, gate 44. So now you can go onto YouTube and search for any gate and find a video about that gate and its marketing influence. Oh my goodness. So since we're talking gate 28, as I said, this has been a huge risk. It has been a massive time commitment. Financially, it's the biggest single investment I have ever made in the business by quite a way, ahead of any masterminds I've joined, high ticket coaching. Like, it's been the biggest. And that has been because of having an editor. We were on set for the first 16 weeks. It's also meant a lot of time of my team. So a lot of their hours have been spent on this. It's just been big. And, you know, there were times when I would look at the subscriber count and think it's not worth it. And I got to halfway through the whole project, and like there was a part of me that wanted to pull the pin. I'm not going to lie, because of that, because I'm looking at the number of people that are actually consuming the content, and it's way lower than all my other channels. And yet, it has already brought so many rewards. I am on the Human Design podcast with Emma Dunwoody every month talking about the transits. If I didn't go on this adventure of building this body of work and turning it into a YouTube channel, she wouldn't have had the idea of asking me to be on her podcast. And this podcast is responsible for many of you finding me. So that's in of itself massive. It then led me to creating the 64 Cosmic Content Codes Guide, which is a paid product, which gives you literally a handout of every single gate, how to use it for content, a calendar, a video to explain how to use the transits, and a project management tool that has the prompts for every single gate that you can just pick up and implement and upload into your own project management system. And the feedback on this has been epic. You may, if you haven't listened to it, you can go back a couple of episodes to the episode I did with Kylie Patchett, where she was raving about this so much that I decided to talk about that on air, so you could all hear, whether you own it already or whether you are interested in it, hear how she's using it. And that's a really great episode to go and listen to if you haven't already. So there's that. Then the next thing is part of the reason for doing this was strategic. I wanted to be omnipresent as an expert in human design for marketing on Google search, so that if you're looking for help in this space, you're going to find me. And video is really high ranking in Google search. YouTube, obviously, owned by Google, really high ranking. And so this has meant having the right content, both from a blog, we write a blog on Every Gate, as well as video, to surface at the top of the Google search results. Now, this has led to an explosion in our website traffic, where we now have many, many offers that you can buy that are passive, and therefore it's leading to income as well. So it's been huge, but the rewards are massive as well. And I wanted to share this with you in like the transparency of what the journey's been like, but also through the lens of business and marketing. They're not short term and they're not easy. And we can fall into the trap of watching the 1%ers. I call these individuals who are out there talking about making high multiple 6 figures or 7 figures in their first year of business, or sharing with you that if you follow them, exactly what they do, that you're going to have X, Y, and Z outcomes. These individuals tend to be in the 1%. The 1% of people who have a design and the right skills and experience that they could pick something up and run with it and have success quickly. 1% this happens for. But then because they have that success, the noise they create is huge. It's not 1%, it's like 20% of the oxygen that is being breathed by this bubble of it's easy when you follow me. You who are listening to this, you've probably fallen into this trap. You have probably spent money in investing into programs and products that had big promises that when you actually implemented them in your own business, didn't give you the gains or the results that were inferred or even promised. It's certainly been my experience, and it's a big part of why I am so passionate about this work, because it's not about following one particular strategy. It's about empowering you to be at your most brilliant and magnetic by becoming more you. But I'm not going to promise you that you're going to have a 7-figure business easily when you do that, because that is not my experience and it's not my belief. I believe that with strategy and intention and staying the course and keeping going when things are hard, that over time, that pays off. Consistency compounds, and you're going to get to a place, which is exactly where I am now, where a lot of hard work, discomfort, resistance, keeping going when I wanted to quit, has led to where I stand today, which is being in Bali, reaping the rewards of that effort. I'm not done yet. There's a lot more effort ahead, but I really am in this incredible place as a result of the risks that I've taken, and that continually building towards my big vision. And that's what I want for you, to really own this in yourself. This episode has been sponsored by the Spleen, which teaches us about health and the high frequencies of trusting our intuition and our instinct, but seeing that fear, knowing that it's there for a reason, letting it go when we need to let it go, and continuing to keep showing up for ourselves, our business, the impact and the legacy that we're building. That's what we're here to do together. I trust you've got what you need from this episode. I've really enjoyed sharing it with you, and I look forward to coming to you back in Australia next week. Take care. Bye. There are heaps more resources in the show notes. I can't wait to be back in your ears again soon. Bye for now.